Have you ever had something happen to you that disturbed you, maybe hurt you, and maybe you thought, oh, I wasted my money doing that thing or having that experience, and then later you go, wow, I really did learn something from that. Let me tell you about a very disturbing seminar I went to a few years ago. So I read about this seminar and it was sponsored by, I thought, a famous author that I really liked. And I didn't even read the fine print. I just signed up, got my tickets. I had to travel to get there. And without a thought or without praying about it. So I kind of knew I was in the wrong place or I didn't fit in, let's say, when I walked in and I was the only one who wasn't skinny and wearing yoga pants, and probably the only one over 30. So I'm going, okay, let's see what I can learn. I'm here to learn. And I was also the fattest person there, or heaviest. There was one younger lady that was a little bit bigger than me. And I'm like, isn't it terrible? We're like, oh God, thank goodness I'm not the biggest person here. So the teacher started teaching, and it was about relationships and releasing old pain. Well, I had a lot of old pain. This was a few years ago, and I was fresh out of a divorce. So, of course, I had a lot of pain. And I asked the teacher a question. I raised my hand, asked the teacher a question, expressing my problem with trusting men. And he looked at me and he said, you just need to own your effing shit. And I felt like I'd been slapped. Like, whoa. Needless to say, I did not ask any more questions. And this was supposed to be, I think, a 3-day event. That was day one. So one of the exercises they had us do, and I'm still trying to go, well, it's by this famous author. I really like that author. And they had us pair up. Don't you hate that when you feel like, oh God, nobody's going to pick me? Well, I looked around and I kind of thought, nobody's going to pick me. And then I looked at that heavier lady and I thought, oh, these skinny little yoga kids might not pick her. So I went over to her and said, you want to be my partner? Well, I didn't know what the teacher was going to have us do. It's like unbelievable. Okay, we're supposed to be expressing our sexual pain, womb pain, whatever. And so the exercise was with your partner, male or female, you're supposed to straddle them and hump them and drive your pain out of your body, I guess, into their body. And I'm still thinking, this is a famous author. I really like their work. I'm going to try it. I'm going to be a good sport. So it was so embarrassing because I hadn't been doing yoga and I wasn't very limber and I couldn't straddle that lady. I'm holding onto a chair, trying to get my leg over, and I can't do it. And talk about embarrassing. I should have been exercising more, right? I should have been more limber. And any spiritual healing, I thought, went out the window. So the teacher comes over and she says, well, you can do each other from the side. So, anyway, that's what happened. And a curious thing, because I opened my eyes and looked around at one point because I was hearing all this moaning and groaning and wailing and gnashing of teeth and screaming and hollering. And all these people were riding each other with force. And letting their pain out, what, into another person? Anyway, and then when one had their time of crying and wailing, then they switched places and the other one got on top. Well, I just had to go within myself and go into a meditative state. And again, I just couldn't do it. So that was day one, and I had to leave. This was not my idea of healing. I had just started doing some seminars myself, and I knew that with EFT, with hypnosis, with all kind of healing techniques that I knew about, it wasn't necessary. You could heal the deepest pain without screaming and crying, and was certainly without trying to drive your pain into another person. Now, maybe I misunderstood the whole concept, but as I look back, and I don't know what happened the 2 other days, and I did have feelings for that lady that was by herself and heavier and, not real flexible either. If they were going to do a lot of exercises, that might have been hard for her, but I couldn't let that make me stay. It didn't resonate. And the reason I'm telling you this story is so that you can look at things that happened in your life. What seemed at the time to be very distressing, and yet look at what you learned from it. Now, what did I learn? One, read the fine print about any seminar you go into, that's for sure. And two, make sure it resonates with you. Pray about it. And three, never, ever put a person down who's asking you a question. Especially, I couldn't imagine cussing at a person in a spiritual seminar and just slapping them in the face. So I learned that, not that I would have never thought of doing that, but certainly that's just not okay. And then to straddle a person and drive your pain into them, that's so unacceptable. Or even having to do physical things to each other that are uncomfortable. So those are some of the things that I learned. But the good thing I did learn too is leave. Just because you paid for something, and I didn't want to ask for a refund, I figured this is for my learning. But when something doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't care if everybody else in the room is getting something out of it. If it's not resonating with your heart and where you are, leave. So since then, I've taught lots of seminars, and it's the wonderful thing about my seminars is that everybody falls in love with everybody. And I don't mean in a sexual way. I mean, the love energy there is so strong, the nurturing energy there. And if you would like to have a taste of this, there is a live seminar that's coming up. I'll put a link to it in the space below. This seminar is about the Magdalene method of healing, and it can heal your old wounds. Believe me, you won't have to hump anybody. You won't have to scream and holler. There are so many ways, and it'll be teaching you some mysteries, some healings from the Egyptian mystery schools. So there's a link below. Click on it and pay attention. Does it resonate with you? I'm going to put my phone number there too for WhatsApp. If you want to talk to me about it, you can WhatsApp me. So, what are you taking away from this video? I hope Of course, I want you to come to my seminar. I want to hug you. However, look back over your life at some of the things that were maybe very disturbing to you and look at what you learned. Even if you learned, whoa, I just hate that. That is good. You now know what does not resonate with you. I'm Rebecca Marina, and I want you to know that you're loved just like you are and pay attention to what resonates with you.